On this episode of Brew Cabin, we turn this plain white chest freezer into a massive 6-tap homebrew kegerator. I'm Matt Giovanisi, and I'm the handsome one, and together we take homebrewing to the next level. This is Brew Cabin. So I've been itching to expand the tap room in my home brewery. My brother here has been trying to convince me to build a Keezer. But honestly, I don't have any woodworking skills. I mean, I'm just not handy at all, so I'm pretty sure I can't do this on my own. Well, that's not true. What do you mean? Look, I think you can do this on your own, but if you need help, I'll be there to guide you through all the handy stuff. Okay, I mean, you make it sound like it's so easy for me to do. That's because it is, I'm telling you. Okay, so what's next? Well, first, we need a plan. First, we had to choose a chest freezer, so I purchased a 15 cubic foot freezer big enough to hold 8 5-gallon corny kegs and 2 additional mini kegs. To take things to the next level, we're gonna paint the chest freezer matte black. Then, outfit it with a collar to safely drill in the tap shanks without hitting any refrigerant lines. For a finishing touch, we'll add a facial board to the front and sides. And finally, add our taps and drip tray with a built-in surprise. Okay, so I am building a Keezer, and that's the chest freezer. It's a 15 cubic foot freezer. Got it at the local hardware store. It was like $400, and the first thing I need to do is paint it. So I'm going to be using chalkboard paint to do it, and first I have to take off all the plastic pieces, and then I have to take off the lid, and then I have to sand it down, use liquid sandpaper, prime it with a couple of coats, and then do a couple of coats of chalkboard paint. So we'll see. Now that I have the freezer prepped, it's time to sand it down by hand and add 2 coats of primer. And I'm sanding it down so that the primer adheres to the surface of the freezer, using 120 grit sandpaper and liquid sandpaper just to be sure. This is the point of no return. Okay, so the Keezer has been primed with 2 coats of primer. Before that was liquid sandpaper. Before that was just 220 grit sandpaper. Before that was just kind of, setting everything up and getting all the pieces in place. Now, this is the kind of all of it. This is the painting of the Keezer with chalkboard paint. I hope it comes out okay. We'll see. Now that the primer is dry, it's time to add the chalkboard paint. I'm using a foam roller on the freezer and lid for a smooth coat. All in all, this took me 3 coats. In hindsight, I should have used a darker primer color instead of pure white. Hey.
Did you finish painting it?
Yes?
Let me see it. Dude, look at that. It looks like a factory paint job.
Yeah, it's alright.
It's fine. No one's gonna notice.
Coming over tomorrow?
Yeah, I can't make it tomorrow, but, I know you can do this tomorrow. It's really easy. Just, follow the plan.
Alright, I guess.
You got this.
Alright, talk to you later. I gotta admit, when I saw that chalkboard paint on the freezer, I was pretty impressed. I mean, he was worried. I knew he had it in him, but it seriously looked great. And I'm just glad he didn't ask me to do any of the work. For the collar, I took precise measurements of the top of the Keezer and got 2x6s cut at the local hardware store. I used angle brackets and number 8 1 1/4 wafer head screws to put the pieces together. Then, instead of gluing the collar to the freezer, I just added 1 1/2 expandable foam weather stripping along the bottom to help keep the collar in place. Not using glue means if anything goes wrong with the freezer, I can simply remove the collar and place it on a new one. Now that the collar is in place, I'll use some waterproof silicone to seal around the butt joints. Then, reattach the freezer lid directly to the back of the collar. The added weight of the lid will help keep the collar in place. I purchased 1x12 premium pine boards, sanded down, and finished with Danish oil to preserve the natural look. And finally, I attached the facial board directly to the collar using number 10 2-inch zinc-plated wood screws. Last but not least, it's time to finish up this Keezer build by adding the taps, the drip tray, and a few extra surprises. I'm installing a 6-faucet stainless steel drip tray with a built-in glass rinser. So first, I marked where to add the taps and drilled the holes with a 7/8 inch hole saw. After cleaning up the holes with a file and some tack cloth, I installed 5-inch shanks to secure the drip tray in place. Next, I added a water line for the glass rinser by drilling a hole in the back of the collar. The rinser is controlled by a pressurized keg of cold water inside the Keezer. For the drain port, I drilled a small hole in a bucket and attached the drain line directly to it. To hide the drain bucket, I built a 3-sided box with handles around the bottom of the drip tray. Inside the Keezer, I mounted a 4-way gas regulator and a manifold to power 7 kegs with CO2. For the liquid lines, I'm using 4mm EVA barrier tubing with duo-tight push-in fittings. To control the temp inside the Keezer, I installed an Inkbird temperature controller to the left side of the collar, and a draft tower fan inside to circulate the air and help keep a consistent Keezer temp. And finally, to brighten things up, I installed a strip of LED lights around the bottom of the trim. Now, all I have to do is invite my brother over and see what he thinks. Hopefully, it meets his level of standards. Alright, well, it looks like we did it. We actually built a Keezer. I can't believe it. Well, I'm pretty sure I couldn't have done this without you. Well, I appreciate that, but I didn't actually do anything. What are you talking about? You helped me with the, who do you think you're talking to right now?
I guess I didn't really need any help, cause I built this Keezer by myself. Yeah, I never had a twin, it was all done in post with some clever editing. In case that wasn't obvious from the start, it was all a farce, it was all a farce.